more.
We're all set. Hey, it's Alex Williams of the New Stack here at the Open Source Summit. Lucky today to be joined by Matt Baldwin. Matt Baldwin is the founder of StackPointCloud. Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you, Alex?
Great. And you announced today that you're now supporting Istio.
That's correct. Yeah, we're now supporting Istio under our managed services. So, kind of our belief is that Kubernetes is the platform, and that with that platform is not the end-all be-all platform. That we believe that you have to have a service mesh that sits on top of that. Even when users don't know that they're going to need a service mesh, when they start to go into production, they start to see scale, and they need to start troubleshooting things like latency.
Okay,
that's why we added it.
So let's back up. So tell us a little bit more about Istio.
Okay, so Istio is a service mesh developed by Google, IBM, and Lyft. It came out of Lyft as the Envoy proxy. It has multiple components. It's Envoy proxy, Istio proxy. There's Mixer. There's Pilot, and there's Auth in there as well. And so it does use some of Spiffy. The Joe Beta Spiffy project is in there.
What is that?
I don't know a lot about Spiffy myself.
Well, just generally.
Spiffy is a security project that, an identity project that Joe Beta put together, I think last year, and then announced it. And then it's kind of like Auth and, like verifying service identity. So when a service talks to another service, it's going to verify that identity, that you are allowed to talk to this service type of thing. And they're using it inside of Istio to handle that type of item, so to handle Auth.
Okay, so Istio has become fairly popular, and it provides this service mesh. What is it about it that is proving valuable to developers and engineers?
I think for me, I like the Zipkin plugin, which would allows me to trace to where I have latency in my service. So I can actually quickly troubleshoot, dig into where I have issues. That's kind of what I like about it. I like the idea of A/B testing as well. I like the idea of mixer policies, that type of item. So those are all things I would use personally. But it's really the ability to dig in and observe your microservice and see what's actually happening and see where actual issues are cropping up. So say this thing's hitting this thing, hitting this thing. You don't know where the latency is. But using Istio, you'd be able to see where the latency is.
So how do you use it with Kubernetes?
So what we do is, obviously we bootstrap and build a cluster, and then we just basically install, we push Istio out there as well. And the managed offering is more to engage with the users, to help them with policy creation, help them understand Istio, and then work with them to get their apps to, use Istio. Because part of Istio is you have to inject that, you have to inject that sidecar container into the pod, right? Mm-hmm. So we don't do that piece. So the idea is that, you can be running Istio, and then we'll support that environment for you. We'll support helping you with policies. We'll support if it goes down or if there's issues. We'll work with the Istio team, things like that.
What is the difference between this and, say, a resource manager? Would there be much different? Is there a major difference? I think of applications that are scaling out, and a resource manager can help you kind of define what the policy should be, for example, and how those policies should, apply.
This is more like not necessarily resources as much as like some of the main policies is like, data, shaping your data, authentication, things like that, but not resource management.
Okay.
So it's not like managing I/O or anything like that.
Keynote will begin in 10 minutes. Please make your way up the escalators to the Diamond Ballroom.
We're now.
Feel bombed.
Good afternoon, attendees. Keynote will begin in 10 minutes.
Alaska.
Make your way up the escalators to the Diamond Ballroom. Thank you.
Alaska Airlines Flight 274 is now departing from Gate C. So, in any case,
you can edit that out.
What?
Just edit it out.
So the value really is at that application level, really.
Yeah.
And that's really what
is that you're proxying your traffic through the Istio proxy,
right?
And then that you're able to observe that traffic and see what's happening. Then drop in things like Zipkin plugins to look where latency is occurring, and items like that. But resource management not necessarily is the right mapping.
So Envoy is that proxy, and like a Zipkin would be providing that tracing capability.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's Istio proxy in there, and there's like kind of that. I always the Istio guys have to explain it, but there's times when they use Envoy proxy in their terminology and Istio proxy. So we're going to clear that up tonight in tonight's open source key.
Yeah, that can get a little confusing, can it?
Yeah. But they're, I mean, what we're seeing is they're at what are they at 0.2.1?
Yeah, I was wondering how early it is.
So they're really, really early.
Yeah, so early.
You know, kind of how I see it is they're walking across that bridge.
So what are the aspects to the management that you'll provide for Istio?
So eventually what we would like to do, so right now it's a lightweight integration, where we're trying to get customers, start to work with them, and then the hope is that we'll start to learn, more automation things that are required for them, for the users. But we do know where we want to start putting some focus, which is to start to pull up like mixer policies and things like that. The Istio CTL command line things, pull that all up into the interface so that you create a nice, easy way for people to manage those items out of Istio as well.
Okay.
So that's where we're going to head.
Great. What is it about Istio that says to you about the maturity of the container ecosystem overall?
What it tells me is that we already have a lot of companies like a lot of the car sharing companies that are doing, like Uber and Lyft are both running their own service meshes, right? At very large scale.
Right.
And, that tells me that we're seeing large scale adoption of microservices, and that those who do large scale adoption, like scale to large deployments of containers, need something like Istio to troubleshoot things, to observe their environment, right? I'm not sure what Uber uses. They have a different service mesh. So I think it's something where users definitely don't know they probably need it yet, right? But they will need it. They'll need to use Istio. They're going to need to combine Istio with things like Calico, so you can create more network security rules. And so what we're trying to do is evangelize it too with the users. That's why we're going to be working with the Istio team to do a web series of, Istio tutorials, like Introduction to Istio, Part 1, deep dive into Mixer, deep dive into Pilot.
So what happens? So Kubernetes, right? We hear about it all the time. What does it do to enhance Kubernetes? What does Istio do to enhance Kubernetes?
Provides observability into your.
The what?
It provides observability.
It's observability, which is a term we're hearing a lot more about.
Yeah.
What is
observability.
Yeah. What is your, what is the historical use of the term observability in software engineering circles as it relates to application architectures and development and management at scale?
I would say just basically being able to pull data out, like metrics of what your app is actually doing. So
right.
Dig into and know where issues are at in your app versus it's a black box app that you don't know. So that's why we see things like open tracing, right?
Right.
And tracing, and that's why open tracing exists, is that all these vendors lock people into proprietary tracing solutions so that you can actually trace your stack and trace your issues, right?
So how is it getting visualized? Like, what are some of the visualization methods that you're starting to see as you pull out all these metrics?
For Istio?
Yeah.
There is no, as far as I've seen,
there's no visualization.
No visualization, no dashboard.
So do you get alerts? Do you see alerts for things? Or what is the interface?
Depending on the plugins, like Zipkin, you get an interface, you can actually trace things. But it depends on what you're using. Most of your interaction with Istio itself is going to be from the command line. Istio CTL. Mixer is going to be at the command line as well. Mixer, I can't remember what the command mixin is, but you'd be doing all that from the command line. What we want to do is create a visual wave.
It's all about observability, isn't it? Yeah. It really is, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's just becoming such a matter of importance as these components scale and change all the time, right? Does the issue around, a lot of organizations are are anchored to their past, so to speak. I heard that term today. I like it. So they have legacy. They have environments that are, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 years old, right? And a lot of it requires, these applications have state, right?
Yeah.
And how does Istio kind of...
Good afternoon, attendees. Keynotes will begin in 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Please make your way up to the Diamond Ballroom.
Diamond Ballroom.
Just in case
Good afternoon, attendees.
Attendees.
Keynotes will begin in 5 minutes. Please make your way up the escalators to the Diamond Ballroom. Thank you.
Wow, that is loud. So
Delta's boarding.
Does Istio differentiate between you're using it for observability in many ways, right? Does that state have any meaning at all? Does it have to? Is there any technical challenges that come with applications that are stateful?
No.
It's just you're just seeing the application itself.
Yeah, you're just seeing the microservice itself, stateless, stateful, whatever.
Right. Could be really anything then. Well, thanks for so that helps me out a lot. So why do you see what's the potential you see here? What is it that you're seeing in Istio that is leading you to this investment?
So the potential we see is mainly we're jumping into it because we're seeing a lot of excitement around it. We're getting a lot of inquiries through our meetups that we run. We've measured the interest in Istio through the meetups by hosting them, and any Istio meetup that we do, we get over 200 people. That shows that there's a lot of interest, and that's kind of why we're starting to kind of combine Kubernetes and Istio together as our company's offering.
Interesting.
Like assistance, And I understand that there's a lot of knowledge you have to have around the app itself to be able to use Istio, so that's where we're going to help the customers there.
Yeah, easing that complexity.
Yeah.
So what are we going to see in future releases of Istio?
Actually, I have not read the roadmap. I think stability.
Yeah.
And getting to version 1.0 is the big deal. But I don't know what the timeline is on 1.0 at all. We're going to ask them that question tonight.
Good.
And see where their roadmap doesn't have.
Who is that you're asking?
Let's see. Spike Curtis tonight.
Spike Curtis.
Yep.
Okay. Great.
From Tigera.
Oh.
Yep.
Smart guys there. Well, listen, thanks a lot, Matt, for coming by to take some time to talk. I think they're going to start the keynote and they blare it through here, as they have been in the announcements. So thank you so much, and congratulations on all your guys' success, and look forward to hearing more about what you guys are doing, and you're helping us track and treat what Istio is all about.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks.